Hey guys, this is the Squeegee God, and welcome to Ignore the Headlines.
All right, the man, the squeegee, the God, Squeegee God himself, Johnny Robinson, in the house. Thank you for joining.
Anytime, man. I'm really excited. This is a cool concept for a podcast, and when you invited me to be on, I was totally honored, and I'm stoked to get on here and talk about what I've done and the path I've taken. So
Awesome. So give people background on yourself, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, what you've done kind of historically. I know you're like super old, so you've got like tons and tons of history, but you started pretty young. So give people some background and then also kind of what you're most focused on right now.
yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, getting older, I'm definitely starting to feel it. Just hit that mark of the mid-20s, so just turned 24 in May. But basically, entrepreneurship's all I know, man. I grew up with no entrepreneurs in the family. 19 years old, I needed a job, as did my partner Sergio, who you'll be hearing as a recurring guest in the story and kind of as I progress and start new businesses, etc. Sergio has been along with me for the ride. We're 50-50 partners across every business I've ever started. And basically started a window cleaning business. We both agreed we wanted to start something. We needed money, $150 out of pocket. Got a bucket, squeegee, some polos, started going door knocking. Your typical, just pull yourself up by the bootstraps and go
Awesome.
make it happen. And just continued to pour into that business until it grew and grew and grew. We had up to 9 W-2 employees out in the field, 3 trucks running. Then we switched to subcontractors, independent contractors, whatever you want to call them, who already had their own equipment because we realized we were investing way too much into a business that didn't have that much kind of juice to get out of the squeeze.
Yeah.
So we switched to just a cash flow play, and that was working amazingly. Eventually sold that business as we started Homesource Academy, which is the biggest business by far. We are doing, at the peak of the window cleaning business, we've done up to about $70K a month.
Mm-hmm.
During busy season, we would typically see between $40 to $50K on 3 to 4 trucks just cleaning windows. It's a real seasonal business. So, then Homesource Academy started in January. We teach people how to do what we did. Starting house cleaning businesses and window cleaning businesses completely remotely using independent contractors instead of W-2 employees.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thanks for giving that background, and we'll dig into more detail in a sec. You and I met over Twitter. The magic's in the DMs. And you and I have had a couple really kind of long and authentic conversations. I've appreciated, I think you're very humble. I've told you and Sergio that you both are crushing it for where your age, and I think a lot of people compare themselves to the 0.1%, which is fine from a competitive standpoint. But when you zoom out, you're 24, you are a monster of a 24-year-old. It's awesome, both of you are, and it's so refreshing that you guys are humble, because I also know the other side that are similarly successful, but they think they're so badass. And it is cool what you're doing, and you should be really proud. But I've really appreciated both of your, humility. So, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing more. And so what I really want to focus on in this conversation is that choice to sell that business and to really double down on e-learning. And, going from, it really hasn't been that long, right? It's been 2 or 3 years ago when you were still doing, maybe 4 years ago, a decent amount of manual labor. You can even go back into that a little bit if you want on that transition, and where you've, now it's a very different business. You are faced with very different challenges. You made some very specific choices, kicked it off in January. I know for a fact it's going exceedingly well. And so, I think that's where I want to take it, and is to talk people through really why you've made those choices and to let go of certain businesses and to really double down in other areas. And so I think to start a couple of years back, when's the last time you did manual labor?
Last time I did manual labor was probably almost 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Probably the end of 2020, beginning 2021. So not that long ago. And that when I was doing the labor in that most recent period of time, it was more so kind of just filling in for people because we had a team already.
Right.
So it wasn't 100%, but I was still going in and out here and there, helping out if I needed to, because we just weren't at that scale yet to be able to not do that. But I appreciate the kind words, by the way. Huge fan of you on Twitter before we had even met. So I'm just excited to be here. I think it's cool what you're doing. And yeah. I mean, it's definitely a huge transition going from a traditional service-based sweaty business to an e-learning company where there's totally different marketing. You play with you get crafty with your offers, with how you're actually fulfilling on your service, right? Like the sales cycle, building a sales floor and a team, and learning how to actually close these types of deals because we're doing these over Google Meets and Zoom. It's just a whole nother skill set,
right?
But kind of just rambled a bit. But what was the question?
No, you're fine. I mean, so the last time you did manual labor was a couple of years ago. And you sold a business, and you really now are basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're basically solely digital now. I mean, is that
100% digital
for what you have
100%.
ownership in? And what you pointed to a second ago is really interesting in that you learned both by doing and then by hiring and leading to a degree physical labor. And I don't think people appreciate the difference between doing, hiring, and managing physical labor versus doing, hiring, and managing digital labor. What do you?
It's a huge difference. It's like going from managing. I mean, just think about, and this is not to talk down on anybody, but it's just think about the type of talent that a window cleaning business would attract.
Right.
And that's the type of talent you're dealing with. That's the reality of things. And then going to e-learning, high margin business, you can attract good talent because you can pay them very well.
Right.
And not only that, but I don't have to come out of pocket for more trucks. I have access to the whole United States and Canada. Even we've got people in Europe as well. So it's like, it's not, it's you have access from just your local area to now the whole world. You can attract the best talent. It's like going and playing entrepreneurship on hard mode and then turning difficulty to easy mode.
Okay. That's what I was about to say is, do you feel like this is easy?
Oh yeah. I mean, to keep in mind for 5 years, or I guess 4 years, the only thing I knew as far as entrepreneurship goes is, oh man, I got to be up at 6 a.m. and go to the yard and talk to the guys and grind it out. Oh, someone doesn't show up. Well, I'm on the truck again. Let me pick up the squeegee. Go get sweaty. And, during summer when we're the busiest, it's 90 degrees, 100 degrees out. It's hot. We're sweating, drinking tons of water. You got to go to the bathroom. You're stuck in a customer's house. Like,
right.
It's like, yeah, I mean, compared to that, then yeah, it's relatively easy. And that's not to be like cocky or whatever. It's just, that's what I was used to go from that to this. It's like, wow.
Yeah. So did you make a decision? I don't want to keep being so aligned to manual labor as it relates to my income and how it's derived and the scalability of these businesses I'm involved in. So I want to go pursue digital business, or did it kind of fall in your lap as a natural progression and you just realized that it was more profitable and then maybe even easier. And so then you started to heavily gravitate. Like what was that transition? Was it highly intentional? Was it accidental? Like, how'd you get here?
Oh no, it was very intentional and very planned, I would say. Not planned to like a T, but I'll kind of walk you through it. So as we started to, I'm doing air quotes right now, automate the business, because there's no such thing. But we got pretty close to having an automated business. We were working like 4 to 5 hours a month on the window cleaning using independent contractors. We had our virtual assistant in the Philippines running everything, answering calls, following up with customers, dealing with customer complaints. We were like super hands off with it. Yeah. And so we were like, okay, we can do two things. We can continue to grow and scale this business, knowing we're not going to get much for it if we ever tried to sell, build some additional cash flow. But I mean, margins weren't great. Or it was, hey, I've been tweeting about this stuff. Yeah. I have some sort of following I can leverage to get some initial customers in the door for some type of internet-based service business. Mm-hmm. And our kind of thinking, it was very logical. It was just, okay, well, we're providing the service in person in a local area. Why don't we just provide a service on the internet where we can scale it infinitely? And especially with information, we can package together, some things, and we can sell that a bunch of times. Obviously, there's more layers. The more you layer on to the company and the offer and things like that, that you'll probably have to hire for. But like I said earlier, I mean, we kind of figured it probably a lot easier to hire remotely because people are going to want remote jobs. They're going to want good pay. We can pay them good because it's really high net margins.
Right.
So let's just do what we did with the window cleaning, take everything we learned and go and apply this to an internet-based business. And that's kind of what we did. And what people didn't see is it was probably a good 6 months before we stumbled upon Homesource Academy, because we were trying, like, we started last June. We tried a marketing agency based around Yelp. That business is actually still around and produces like 1 to 2K a month in profit, doing absolutely nothing, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But kind of went nowhere, kind of didn't know how to like structure the offering. So it's just like a commission that Yelp pays us for reselling their stuff.
Right.
And then we did like a window cleaning coaching thing where we had a window cleaning coaching business for like a cool month. And we were selling these packages at like $15,000, $5K down. You pay us a percentage of our added revenue, of your added revenue that we help you get to until you reach that 15K. Yeah, right. Getting real creative with this stuff. So we tried that, and every business or every little thing we tried, we always we always made money with it.
Sure.
So it wasn't like if we could make money or if it works. It's just kind of
with you. Like I'm sure that was the case.
Yeah, I had to throw that in there, a little flex. No, I'm just playing. Yeah, I mean, we were just kind of, tinkering around and playing with things. But we would realize after we sold our first customer, okay, this sucks. I don't like doing this. We're going to run into XYZ problem here. So let's kind of pivot because we're early enough to where we can just try new things.
Yeah.
So once that was done, that's when we kind of stumbled upon Homesource Academy. We ended up selling 3 packages, or I sold 3 packages for Homesource Academy off of Twitter for the first initial run in like December, and I ended up refunding them because I started over
beta. Is that how you viewed it? As, okay, I sold 3. We're going to use this as a test to craft the offer and the service better, or like did you just start rolling them in quickly after that, like more and more?
Yeah. So, well, this wasn't even the beta. We thought this was going to be the beta, but then we started overthinking it after we sold the 3, and then we refunded everybody because we didn't have everything set up, and like we were like we were feeling uneasy about it. And then we kind of got to thinking. Then we started a window cleaning one called Squeegee Launch, and it even sold a couple of those.
Let's go. And then was it squeegeelaunch.com?
Squeegeelaunch.com. It might still be up.
Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on.
Wait. You're gonna look it up?
Yeah, hold on. Please be there. Oh
no, it's not. It's not. I still have the domain though, so I still have like the Johnny at squeegeelaunch.com. But we started Squeegee Launch, ended up selling a couple of those. But what we realized there was people don't like the sweatiness of it, of having to be there and actually go out in the field, which is fair enough. I mean, I wouldn't want to go sweat if I've got a work from home job.
Yeah.
If I got a work from home job, I'm gonna be working from home. It's kind of like a downgrade to go out and be cleaning windows. So kind of tested that. We weren't seeing as good of a close rate. And so then we pivoted back to the Homesource Academy, and then we're just like, okay, we got to stop screwing around here. Let's stick with something. Yep. And then ever since January 1st, we opened the first cohort. It was originally cohort based. And then after mid-March is when we switched it to rolling and 90 days with lifetime access to everything, and then adding in student success coaches. So everybody who comes through gets a coach now, works one-on-one, who's already been through the program and built a cleaning business. And that's kind of how we.
So that's interesting. I didn't know that that's part of the model. How do you compensate someone who went through the program previously and is now a coach?
Yeah, we've hired. We have 3 coaches. 2 of them have been students in the program.
Okay, cool. And are they coaching full time, or are they also running a business?
Well, that's our whole thing. Is like, look, 5 to 15 hours. You want to put in more work, you can. Obviously, it's business. The more work you put in, the more you'll get out. But if you want to get to 15K revenue, 20K revenue a month, it can be very close to automated.
Yeah.
And you can still have a full-time job with having it run in the background. And most people end up wanting to come work at Homesource Academy anyways, because I think what we offer really good compensation packages. And
cool.
And it's cool because you actually, like, almost everybody on the team, even the sales guys, have their own cleaning company.
Right.
Which is really cool to see. And you get in, and now you're surrounded by a bunch of people who just talk about cleaning, who teach cleaning, and then you end up seeing the people who kind of work for us end up getting a little bit more additional revenue and doing a little bit better, a little bit quicker because they're surrounded by it.
It's a really
if that makes
smart.
Sense.
It's a really smart model. Okay, so it's going really well. I don't think it's productive necessarily to talk about revenue. You can talk about that if you want to, but I think you shared kind of your past business. It's doing multiples of your past business that you talked about.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I mean, well, let's say run rate, right? We're on like about a little over $3 million run rate.
Right. High margin, crushing it. And you started in January. Like you definitely tried some things, experimented, but I mean, it's meteoric in my opinion. I mean, does it feel like you're in control of it, or does it feel like you're holding on for dear life?
Well, I mean, I'm working a lot of hours, dude. I'm putting in like 80-hour weeks. There's times where I'm up here. I'm up at 6 every day.
Yep.
We have a meeting with the closers. I'm kind of like head of the sales team, and I always have a meeting with the closers every single morning at 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning. So I'm up from 6:30. I'm not getting done probably just the last few months with all this growth. It's probably been like 6 to 7, like 12, 13-hour days. But I mean, I do feel like I'm in control because we had a really good foundation laid out for us as far as the way we look at business, as scaling goes, and always kind of taking a step back and saying, okay, what am I doing right now that can be hired out for? Because I can't be doing kind of these remedial tasks if I could just hire someone to do it.
Sure.
Once we got real comfortable with hiring in the window cleaning business, so it's not like something that's new to us. So from day one, we want to scale this thing. We think it can be an actual brand, not so much tied to like Squeegee God or the Johnny and Sergio pages on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and be its own actual Homesource Academy. Like if you want to build a cleaning business, go to Homesource Academy, right? I don't want to be attached to it. So that's kind of the goal we set out with, and we realized the more and more we hire, the more pressure we put on ourselves. And I like pressure because it makes me perform.
Yeah.
And we have these revenue goals we want to hit each month, and so we're like, okay, well, if we want to hire this, maybe we need another closer in. Let's get one in here, spend some extra time training them. We open up another calendar, up the ad spend a bit. We have more book calls, we get more sales. It just kind of becomes a formula. So right now we're kind of at the point where we want to get, some consistent. We'll wait until we flatten out the revenue per month because we're just like doubling every month.
You haven't
almost.
really hit a plateau yet.
Right. So we're going to plateau and then look to build some more systems and hire some more like middle level management to kind of run the sales team, run the fulfillment side, things like that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is, at a certain point. So I don't think that I know you don't come from this like kind of hustle and grind kind of bro culture. Like I've never felt like that's you, but you work hard when you feel like you need to. And this is the time. And from a personal life perspective, I think you have a lot of ability to just work really hard right now if you want to and work 78 hours a week. But I like that you're saying that because, hiring a sales manager, you don't need to be the sales manager. You're getting to a point where it's time to hire a really killer sales manager. And it might be someone that already is on your team and you're going to promote them if they really have that sales leadership and sales excellence. But eventually, and this is where I'm going to go with the next question, eventually you need to really not spend any time there and be even more strategic. Take your finger a little bit off the pulse of sales day in and day out and say, okay, well, what's next for this business? And that's what I'm really curious about is, do you feel like you can take this business and branch it into some other areas that aren't cleaning? And could you even partner and do some JV stuff with people that have expertise where you have the sales model locked in, but you may not have the domain expertise in, a certain industry? Is there a thought on, really like imagine if you're only in one lane right now and there's 10 lanes.
Yeah. I mean, I get shiny object syndrome pretty bad. So I'm always thinking about like what's next, what the end goal is. And I mean, these businesses are great for cash flow. If we can eventually build a brand out of it and untie it from ourselves, that's when I think we can get some real actual value from the business if we were ever to sell.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the focus is. But at the same time, it's still in the back of our heads of like, okay, well, we can turn this into a cash flow play, right? Still be involved, still show up to some support calls, et cetera, right? But it's not so tied to us, still more so a little bit more automated. And then maybe we go and start another business where we show you exactly how we did Homesource Academy. Because we're already changing people's lives. I mean, it might sound cliche if you're listening to this, whatever, but I mean, people come to me and say, hey, like you changed my life. People are tripling their income in the first month. And, I'm not saying that everybody does it, but if you put in the work, it's a straightforward, simple business. So imagine what we're doing with the house cleaning company, if we can do that with how we're doing Homesource Academy with coaching and an online service-based business, even a marketing agency, I could probably run the same play with.
Yep.
Any digital service, really, this works for. And I think people could use that and use our ability and what we've done in just 7 months and change their lives, even a greater impact.
Yeah.
So that's kind of something down the line. Also building a holding company. That's why I was a big fan of yours and followed you. The several ventures. I would always go look on the website, look at all the different businesses you have. I think it's cool to own a bunch of different businesses because I do get bad shiny object syndrome, and I just love entrepreneurship. I love building. It's fun.
It is.
It's a fun game.
What you mentioned earlier, scaling ads. What marketing channels are driving this business?
So lots of organic, believe it or not. So honestly, like the YouTube and the content behind the scenes is like its own business in itself. Because we're running, 3-4 TikToks a day, 3 or 4 Instagram reels a day. Same thing with shorts, 2 long form YouTube videos a week, along with tweeting. So we're covering almost all platforms. The only ones we don't are like Facebook and LinkedIn.
Awesome.
But lots of organic. So we're about to hit, I think, like 28,000 on TikTok, and we'll put some asks up on there saying, hey, click the link in the bio, blah, 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 whatever. And people click that. That drives a lot of traffic for us. We do run some Instagram ads as well. So we spend about $1,000 a day on Instagram ads, and that's me, total guru, dude. I'll be completely honest. Me saying, hey, come start this remote cleaning business. It's what works. Don't judge.
Sure.
But then they send me a word. And then we have somebody in the DMs who manages the whole account, who's responding to DMs. He's an appointment setter who's setting the appointments, vetting them, making sure they're a good fit as far as time investment goes, as far as like, are they living paycheck to paycheck, right? I'm not going to put somebody out of house and home just to get them in the program. Yeah. That's not what this is about. So, vetting them, making sure they're good, and then booking them onto the calendar with the closer. But that Instagram and then Twitter helps out a ton with the organic, and then Instagram organic as well with like story asks and things like that.
That's awesome. Well, so that's I like the detail we went into there, because my takeaway is that this isn't easy, and it's multifaceted. You're working really hard. There's a lot of different things that are all kind of feeding into the success, like rapid success of the business. And so it's not, for people to listen to this, you have a winner on your hands, but you've worked damn hard for it. And, I really respect that. And I think you also have put a lot of really smart people around yourself, Sergio and others. So that's awesome. Last question, and then we'll wrap up with something fun. But my last question is, what is in your mind? You talked about, hey, Holdco and different businesses and that sort of thing. And, in your mind, have you left behind physical business? And do you see, all these businesses as, man, it sounds awesome. And look, shiny object syndrome, I think, can be a strength as long as, certain things are true. So do you think you've left physical business behind, and you see those as all digital businesses, or do you think that you'll eventually go back into focus on building or buying even maybe a larger physical business?
Yeah, that's a great question. Something I actually think about a lot. I don't think I would ever start a physical business again. Okay. Definitely not. But I would definitely purchase one. That's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, I like the idea of buying businesses. I've bought 2 smaller ones at the window cleaning company and kind of rolled them in. Super tiny though. Yeah. And I think it's cool. I think it's cool because I like to learn about new industries, and I kind of see it as a challenge. Like, okay, well, I did this with the window cleaning company. I took it to this certain level. We'll see where we get with e-learning. Still in the process. But then it's kind of like, okay, well, let me try it. Let me see if I can win at this. Let me see if I can win at that, right? Really test my abilities. I think entrepreneurship, it's a fun game. I think it's very repeatable once you kind of learn the fundamentals. And I want to go see if I can apply that into other industries, really, is just the fun part of it.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to wrap up with what I call entertain the audience. So you have to share something, in case our conversation bored people to tears. You have to share something fun that you consumed, you watched, you read. I don't care. You could eat it, like whatever. It's something awesome that you partook in recently that you'd say, hey, you should do that too.
Yeah, so this might be a little cliche. Maybe a lot of you have listened to this or read this book, but if you haven't, $100 Million Offers, the best book ever created. Alex
Hype it,
Hormozy.
go for it. You go.
Book again might sound cliche, but changed my life. I mean, seriously, like we took a lot of principles from that book along with scaling up. So I'll do a little 2-for-1 action here. We scaling up / traction, I'll say, because traction is more just like a weeded down version of scaling up. But scaling up kind of taught me, I was talking about like a good base of like scaling a business and knowing like, okay, I need to replace myself. Scaling up taught me that in the window cleaning business very early at just 20 years old. I realized, okay, being a part of the entrepreneurs organization as well, that, wow, people are just applying this to like any business and scaling. Like we had somebody doing $1.5 million a year off of piano lessons, in-person piano lessons. So I'm like, okay, if this dude can scale a damn piano lesson business to 1.5 million, you can scale anything past $1 million.
Yeah.
So it kind of gave me the confidence and like knowing like, okay, anything's possible. And then also $100 Million Offers on to just more so the marketing and what really makes a good offer and gets the customer excited or the prospect excited for that matter on kind of what you're offering and how you can get creative and kind of uncommoditize yourself as a business with how you can layer on value and layer on different things for your offer and guarantees and scarcity and all that kind of stuff. So highly recommend both those books.
Awesome. It's good. I agree. Those are great inputs. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm a big fan of yours, and I'm excited that we're friends and we get to keep talking after this podcast. So selfishly, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, man. Likewise. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I think this podcast is going to do well.
Thanks.